All right. Well, welcome to the Mortgage Mix podcast. We are excited for another great episode here today. Our guest today is someone who is really engaged in our industry as part of the Mortgage Bankers Association and has a big desire to help young professionals enter the marketplace and thrive in our marketplace. So I'm Ralph,
And I'm Cherie.
and this is the Mortgage Mix podcast. All right, Cherie, so we have a great guest here in front of us. I'd love to welcome our guest here today. It is Ashley Inman from the MBA, or Mortgage Bankers Association. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
Hey, Ralph. Hey, Sherry. I'm great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
We're excited to have you. Yes.
Absolutely. So, Cherie, I know you're going to kick us off here today, so let's get to work here.
All right. I know we were just talking about this. It's like years and years that we've been talking since you've gotten into the industry, or actually since you started with MBA, which has been 6 years now, which blows my mind. Can you give us a little insight of what you do at the MBA and some of the things that you're focused and have the biggest passion about right now?
Yes, absolutely. So I started in the industry about 12 years ago. I worked at a national credit union in the operations department. I was manager of operations. I kind of moved over to the training side, have a new LOS implementation under my belt, and then moved over to the Mortgage Bankers Association 6 years ago in the membership team. I started as an associate director and then kind of worked my way up to I am director of member relations now and lead of the residential impact, which is the young professionals networking group, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, my main role as the director of member relations is I'm part of a team of 4 of us that manage a portfolio of all of our residential lenders across the country. I'm based in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. So I have a region that spans from the Pacific Northwest all the way on top of the country and then down through kind of the Midwest into Texas. I have a big L as my region that I manage with my portfolio, but we make sure that we are proactive with the outreach that we do to members, make sure that they're plugged into all of the right committees, networking groups, right education for their teams, trying to get deeper into the rosters to really make sure that their entire staff and their entire company gets to take full advantage of everything that we offer as part of MBA membership. So, and we attend a lot of conferences and meet members where they're at.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess I'll ask a follow-up to that. And that is, you said you were in operations and training, and now going to the MBA, it seems to me at least like it almost feels more like of a sales role. So you almost went from operations to sales. What drew you to that type of role and that difference in roles from what you had previously?
It's funny. I don't really consider my role a sales role. This entire industry is such a relationship building business and relationship industry. And where I came from with training and just being the manager of operations, I really was in the weeds a lot on the day-to-day of how to make a loan work from start to finish, right? All the way up until the closing table. And I really wanted more. I wanted to learn more about, well, what happens beyond the closing table? What happens during post-closing? And what happens on the secondary and capital market side? I had really no idea coming from a credit union. I didn't know what a warehouse line was. We did a little bit of like correspondent lending, but not much. And so I really didn't have that broad of horizon. So when I learned about MBA, it was really a draw to the organization alone, not necessarily the role, but really the organization, because it's such a well-respected organization in our industry. And it provided so many different opportunities for me to just continuously learn and grow within my own sphere of knowledge base within the industry. And the knowledge that I now have is something that I wish I would have had when I was at the credit union. And so I think that's my biggest push and draw, is to make sure that all of our education that we have is put into the what I should have had when I was at the credit union. So I love to make sure everybody's really plugged in and making the most of all of the education that we offer, because that was the huge draw for me, I think, is it would have made me so much better at my job if I would have known half the stuff that I do now. So I think that was the biggest push for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, and I love that aspect. I mean, all three of us are CMBs, so we've really taken advantage of the MBA education and what they do provide to our industry. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. We all kind of need those mentors that help extend that hand and bring us up. Obviously, the education piece is a huge part or a huge advantage of the MBA. What are some of the other reasons that if someone isn't a member today, what would some of those values be that they might be drawn into the membership?
One of the biggest things that I say is our kind of unspoken ROI is the policy side of what we do. We have the most incredible policy team of probably 20 to 25 people, along with our legislative team. They work hand in hand, and they are in the weeds, on the phones, in the rooms every single day with people on Capitol Hill, with people from HUD and the CFPB, and I call it the alphabet soup of our industry, the GSEs, FHFA, literally anybody that is either a regulatory agency of ours or anybody who is setting regulations or rules or doing anything to change our industry. Our policy team has a hand in that. And what we do with our members is we have all of the policy committees as well as our advocacy groups. And those really are not only information-based webinars that we do with our committees, where we disseminate all of the information that comes down off of regulatory bodies, but it's also very much a two-way street. We want to hear from the members when they're on the policy committee calls about what everybody is doing day to day. You're in the field doing it every single day, so we want to hear from you. And so being a member, you have front row access to our policy experts. You have kind of a front row seat to tell us what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, if there's anything that we need to know about to be able to advocate on your behalf. The two-way street, we really try and open the door to make it as easy as possible for you to communicate with us. And then really as part of your membership as well, you really can feel like you have a seat at the table on setting policy priorities for what we're working on and what maybe this white paper should be or how this white paper should be drafted. You really have a hand in kind of exploring and making sure that the priorities that we are reaching for throughout the year are things that are very pertinent to top of mind issues that are in our industry. So you have a voice, you have a seat at the table, you have immediate access to our policy experts. And that's kind of the not unspoken ROI, but the financial side of it. There's so much value in that just because we're shaping the policies that are coming out of our industry and advocacy that's coming out of our industry that you really can't put a price tag on that piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've both been part of that advocacy, and it's moving. It's really neat to know that you have such a major impact in that. So it's all great part to be part of. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you go to like the National Advocacy Conference. If anybody has ever attended, that is probably hands down one of my favorite conferences ever to go to. Our legislative team does an incredible job getting all of the meetings for the senators and the congressmen and their staffers for everybody's respective state and the districts. And it's pretty powerful to be able to go in there with your state and advocate. And they do an incredible job making sure that you're set up. You have an entire pamphlet in front of you with a full breakdown of how to educate the staffers that you're in front of or the congressmen that you're in front of, exactly how to educate them on what's happening in our industry and why it matters. So even if you're not an expert, you still have all of the tools and resources that we have provided for you to be able to go in and effectively educate them on what the issues are, and having that voice is pretty amazing.
I have to say that was probably the part that made me the most nervous to be the speaker of my state, but they really did a great job in preparing everybody with all the bullet points and information. It was a great experience.
Yeah, you have a nice cheat sheet when you walk in there. And if there is anybody out there listening to us that's never experienced an advocacy conference, I can't stress enough to at least do it once in your lifetime, in your tenure in this industry. I know Cherie and I have both done it, and we both have come away like just wowed, overwhelmed in a good way A, the potential impact you can make on our industry, but B, the collaboration that you have among people within our industry and how we can all come together for a lot of great opportunities for the better for our industry. I mean, there's been a lot of policies that have been put into play. Most recently, the trigger leads that we have been talking about at Advocacy for what felt like years, and it finally was a big win. So just seeing those things is really cool and really exciting, and obviously the opportunity to connect with others in our industries is big in that conference. 100% agree. I guess we're going to sound like the advocacy commercial here by the time we're done.
That's okay.
Well, let's switch gears and let's talk about advocating in a whole different way, which is advocating for people in our industry. Ashley, I know you are amazing advocating for young professionals in our industry. I had a chance personally to see you present at MBA Florida's annual convention this past June, and your message was not just informative, but also inspirational if you are a young professional to say, there's opportunities for me out there. So I'll kind of ask you a couple things, but to start off with, what kind of drove you? I know you talked about some of the things that I think we all agree that, gosh, I wish there was what I knew today, I knew when I first started, so that's probably part of it. But what's drawing you to really step up and say, I want to be a part of this, and I really want to be an influential part of this part of the MBA?
So I think what first drew me to this was just my own experiences within the industry. Our Impact Young Professionals group has an age limit. 40 and under is what we usually consider a young professional. I am 33, so I have fit that mold as a young professional in our industry. And so it's near and dear to my heart because of a lot of the different things that I've personally experienced. I also feel like I've gotten very, very lucky with the mentors that I've had within my own tenure of growing up in the industry. I've had some incredible female mentors. And because of that, I really wanted to make sure that there was some sort of organization and door open to be able to, for everybody else to have that same experience. And I know everybody won't have the exact same experience. Everybody's is their own. But I really wanted to at least provide an opportunity for either mentorship to be fulfilled in some way, or have some sort of opportunities for them to find mentors. And that was kind of my initial draw, I think, towards that. And honestly, the CMB Society and my CMB journey was another big draw to that. I did not take over the Impact group until I finished my CMB, and it was really my sponsor, who was Rhiannon Boland. She is ultimately my mentor, and it was just another experience that I had of being a part of an incredible now CMB society and having all of these mentors. And so the young professionals coming up, they don't know how to access all of these things. And so I really wanted to provide a space and a safe space for them to do so and be able to provide access to the CMB society. And so you'll see at a lot of conferences, I mesh the groups together and bring my Impact group in with like the CMB Society receptions or Future Leader alumni receptions, so that they can have the opportunity to network with all of these incredible people who do want to give back. And so I think that was really my first draw towards why I was passionate about it. But then as I started to really dig into it, and this is part of my presentation, there is a very large age gap within our industry. The professionals and the executives right now are upper management, executive leadership, and they're going to want to retire at some point, right? Like, you're not going to want to work for the rest of your life. So what happens when you retire and there's that huge gap right there. Nobody is really there poised and ready to take over. And as an executive, this is your legacy of what you're leaving behind. You're going to retire. You want to make sure that whoever is taking over your spot is poised and ready to do so. And so that's where Impact comes in. And that's where the importance of succession planning comes in, and why I really strive to lead more towards the executives on this just crucially important issue that we're in right now of this age gap and where it's going.
Yeah, that's big. I think everybody always thinks about like the age of loan officers, which is probably even higher than 40. But there is a gap, but nobody necessarily always talks about the solutions or potential solutions. And I love that you're trying to go to the executive level because it all starts there and having them really identify opportunities to help the young professionals within their organization. So you and I have talked about really the investment in those people, and investment doesn't necessarily mean money, but really truly setting those people up, setting young professionals for success. And you bring them in, you say, yes, we're going to invest in new talent in our industry and we're going to bring them onto our company. But then it kind of just stalls. So talk to me a little bit about some of the things you are talking to executives about and how to invest themselves and their team in helping these people grow within their organizations.
Yeah. So when you bring people on and bring people into the industry, that's the first piece, right? A lot of people know how to do that. There's a lot of people coming into the industry, but as you said, once they get to the first maybe year or two, they kind of stall. They don't really know exactly what path to go or where they want to go. And so a lot of what I talk about with the executives is how to identify, first and foremost, how to identify who is ready and who wants to move up, who's from the young professionals perspective is taking initiative or raising their hand and wanting more. So first of all, it's kind of just how to identify those. Once you've identified them, because it's not going to be everybody. I mean, realistically, if you have 10 amazing people that you just hired, let's say 6 of them are going to be great, rock stars. And how do you know who is actually ready? So how to identify those people, the people that are actually raising their hand, that are being vocal, they're being the squeaky wheel. They keep saying they want more responsibility. So those are the people who are actively investing in themselves. Once you've identified those people, it's really looking at your organization and making sure that you have the resources and opportunities to be able to provide them opportunity to move up or to just advance with their education or in their careers with their professional development skills. Just like you said, Ralph, it doesn't always have to be an investment with money or a financial side of it. It doesn't have to be a promotion. It doesn't have to be a bonus. Nothing fiscal. It can really be more education. It can be taking on a different project. It can be having somebody under them shadow them so that they can have a little bit of a little experience being a leader or having a direct report, something like that, where maybe it's a little bit of a shift in an org structure so that somebody can have a direct report and get that leadership skills or get that leadership experience. So there's so many different ways to be able to invest both financially and not financially in the young professionals who are ready and willing and raising their hand. And I think the biggest thing too, that from a young professional, what we are wanting is just transparency on, is this organization able to provide me any type of room to grow, whether that's moving up in my career and up within this organization, or just providing any sort of leadership development skills, maybe coming to a conference and being immersed in a lot of the different policy issues we have. That right there is an investment, and that can be something very simple to have a young professional tag along an executive as they go through a conference. And then you can maintain all of these parameters afterwards, like they have to write up a takeaway, they have to tell you exactly what they learned or what they gained or what experiences they have. And so you can make it part of their review. There's so many different ways to put this into fruition within your own organization to just really set the tone that, yeah, we're an organization that wants to invest in our young professionals, because that's what we know that they are the ones that are going to be taking over when we retire. So that's kind of blanket, I feel like, how I usually come into the conversation at the very beginning.
I think there's such a huge opportunity too, because like you say, the 80% that is about to retire or will be retiring over the next few years, that younger generation has such a great opportunity because there's so many positions and there's not enough of that 20%. So they have a lot of great opportunity. And then to circle it back, just, I know a lot of the young under 40 are really focused on the School of Mortgage Banking and trying to get as much knowledge as possible, because then they're sitting in rooms that are helping them kind of level up a little bit. So yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Absolutely. So many of the education opportunities that MBA provides not only provides the knowledge and the education, but it provides the networking as well. So just
Yep.
like you said, with the School of Mortgage Banking, 1, 2, and 3, if you do them both in person and online, but especially in person, the entire class of 30 to 40 people are across the country. They're across different companies, different member companies, different roles and responsibilities. So you really get a wide range of people that you can meet and network with and connect with that is pretty incredible.
I think that could be a whole nother call, because Ralph and I are big advocates of getting people in a room and networking and just like
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
through it ourselves. Just the text chains that you have from each of those classes, sitting in with, secondary of big, huge companies or, whatever. It's amazing the network that you get out of that. It's fantastic. So many
Yeah.
benefits.
I
Mhm.
call it they're friends for life. And
Yep.
you
Yeah.
meet them and you connect in a very limited amount of time, but you're very like-minded individuals, and in turn you just stay connected for years and years to come. So pretty cool. I love how you said about having an executive bring someone to a conference with them.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love just I'll call it the homework afterwards to truly say, okay, yeah, I'm investing in you and the time that we're going to have here attending this conference, but I want you to know that this is a serious event and what are your takeaways from this? So I love that part of it. It also gives them a little bit of exposure to things that not a lot of young professionals get exposed to. I mean, I can even think for myself. I didn't attend an MBA conference, definitely not in my 20s. And I'm trying to think if maybe even in my 30s, I did, maybe in my mid 30s. So,
Mhm.
you're talking, that was, call it maybe the first 15 years of my experience in the industry where I never attended those type of big conferences. So if the opportunity's there, why not give it to them? And so I love that piece of it.
Yeah, and that's a good kind of point too to bring up with just the fact that it's a two-way street. I talk a lot about having the executives invest in the young professionals, but again, the young professionals also have a very big responsibility to be prepared and ready for when the executives are investing in them and what that means and what that looks like. Because as a young professional, there's a lot of opportunities that maybe I wasn't fully ready for, but I did the prep work and I made myself ready so that when the opportunity did come, I was the one in the room to be able to, like, I was ready and prepared. So if anybody called on me, I knew exactly what I was going to say, because I was not going to be caught in the room that I knew that I was maybe in over my head on. And if somebody were to call on me, I knew that I needed to be fully ready. And so within Impact, we try and do a lot of preparation work as well. And so make sure that you're taking responsibility for your own journey, your own career growth, and what that looks like. So that, yeah, when you are invited to a conference and you do get to kind of shadow your executive as you walk around and sit in on all of these different sessions, and that you, at the end of it, what did you learn? What was your takeaways? I would love for you, the executive, to have the young professional give a full write-up, maybe a 2-page write-up on who did you meet? What connections did you make? How did you network? How did you leverage our company to be able to learn about all the different policy issues and relate it back to your own role? And how does it make you better in your own role? What can you then provide your organization when you get back? So definitely some homework, but it's also, again, preparing the young professionals to advance. And that's a huge piece of it is
Well, and
the
there's
responsibility.
preparation in terms of even, helping their communication skills. How are they
Mhm.
communicating when they're doing that write up back? Even
Yeah.
presentation
Follow
skills. You're
Yep.
not doing any type of formal present. I mean, I guess you could technically have them present
Mhm.
in front of maybe a few peers of what they learned. But
Yep.
worst case, if they're presenting it even in a written standpoint, all that
Mhm.
are things that as you continue to move up, you do more and more of. So, all you're doing is prepping them for that type of environment.
Yep.
Gives them the confidence. Yeah,
Great.
good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of conferences, we're in the thick of it right now. I feel like very busy conference season, and we have the MBA annual coming up. What are some of the reasons if someone isn't, if you, right now, people I think are trying to figure out what conferences can I go to? If you
Mhm.
can't get to them all, what would be the reason to make sure that you make it to the MBA annual in your perspective?
In my perspective, MBA Annual really has something for everyone. This is our biggest flagship conference of the year. It is our largest, and it really has something for every role, every niche of the industry. It really has something for everybody. We have a new experience this year called Tech at MBA Annual, and it is a whole tech track that people can attend, focused on really the new implementations on technology, how AI is being implemented, and not only just talking about AI anymore, because I feel like AI has been talked about for the last few years, but it's really doing a deep dive on, okay, now we have AI, we know what it is, we know how it works now, but how do we actually implement that into our own organization? A lot of those now are really hands-on implementation tactics now, and I think that's going to be a really big draw this year, is really talking about all of the different ways to actually incorporate them into your own organization and what that looks like. The other piece, I mean, all of the sessions, we have some incredible leadership coming in from Capitol Hill. We have our member engagement suite. We always have our own room that we have, which is called the member engagement suite, which the entire membership team will be in pretty much all day, every day, having meetings with all of our members. But that's a really great opportunity for the members to come in and meet not only with us as the membership team, but we pull in a lot of the different experts from MBA as well. So it can be a one-on-one sit down with some of our policy team to talk about specific issues like secondary and capital markets, what's happening with the GSEs. And then we can pull in somebody from our education team and our data and benchmarking team. We can pull in Marina if you want a little bit more of a deep dive into a full economic outlook or what's happening within the economy and the rates. So it's a really good opportunity to really sit down and have that one-on-one conversation with just you and your organization and MBA.
Yep.
And then not to mention just all of the fun things that are happening too, right? So I co-lead with my partner, Jordan Bucher, the MBA Runs. So Monday morning, we will be doing the always loved MBA Runs 5K. It's a run walk. I think both of us will be walking this year. She's, I believe, 5 months pregnant, and I'm just doing different style of training. So we'll both be walking this year, but it's a really just fun opportunity. Last year at Annual, we had over 120 people come out at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it's just a really fun way to network with like-minded people who also love to get up and move their body in the morning. So that's always fun. We have the entire Hub Expo Center like we do at MBA Annual every year, but there's a lot of really fun new things that are happening there. We have a couple different hub stages with some tracks going on. The MBA booth will have a few things that are going to be fun. We're hosting an Uno tournament because it's Vegas. I don't know if you guys heard about the Uno craze that happened. I think it went viral that some of the casinos were actually putting like Uno tables in. Like Uno was having a moment. Uno was fully having a moment. So the MBA booth, I believe on Monday from 12 to 1 is hosting an Uno tournament. So just fun things like that to kind of keep it light in the midst of all of the really, really important sessions.
My great grandmother is shining down from heaven, very happy about that Uno.
I love it. It'll be fun. I haven't played Uno in years, so it'll be a fun throwback.
It's a childhood memory.
We need extra security for that? Uno does get a little intense for,
right? We're going to have new rules this year.
That's funny. Well, what are you looking forward to the most at the MBA? I know there's a lot. There's a lot to choose from, but what are you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, it's the people for me. It is, and that's what keeps me in this industry. I call our MBA annual conference like a big family reunion. It is people that I haven't seen in a year, in months, and so it's really good to reconnect. I know there's been a lot of shift in the industry this year, in the last couple of years, just movement within the industry. So just really good to reconnect with people, see where they're at, how they're doing, and just checking in on the family and friends that we've really made in this industry. So that's what I'm really looking forward to the most.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true. Good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah,
And looking
likewise.
forward to really connecting with everybody. You mentioned that. I think even for us, as CMBs, you got CMB events as well that start off right before the conference. And it's just a lot of great interactions and just networking and connections that you make. Just when you think you know a lot of people, you end up coming back from this conference knowing and meeting so many new people. So it's always great to be a part of it. So, well,
Did
Ashley,
you just say you were going to do the run on Monday morning? Did you just say
yeah,
that?
not quite. I said I'm doing the
Oh,
amazing
come on.
race.
It's a run walk, so you can do it. There's no excuses.
I am happy to walk as many miles as you want me to. The 6 a.m. part is the part that I've got the problem with.
You know what? I feel you. It is early. However, once you're actually up and out there, the energy that everybody brings, it gets you so ready for the day that I come in because we have a 7 a.m. staff morning every morning as well, or staff meeting. And so we finished the run and walk, and I'm so energized from just the group alone that I come in and everybody's tired because it's a 7 a.m. staff meeting, and I'm just like ready to go. And they're like, "Ooh, calm down over here.
Yeah, like,
It's too early for this." But it's a really great way to start the day, I have to say. And Monday morning, that's kind of setting the tone for a very busy Monday and Tuesday. So highly recommend.
I'll work on them, Ashley. I'll work on them.
I appreciate that, Sherry. We'll get them. We'll get them.
Well, actually, I can't thank you enough for joining Sheree and I here today on the Mortgage Mix podcast and sharing some great insights, sharing a lot of insights on connecting with others, whether it is through the MBA or just in business in general. And of course, the impact in young professionals and how do we continue to support young professionals and also just create that awareness to help the 20% of our industry continue to grow and thrive in the future. So I thank you so much for joining and spending some time with us here today. For our listeners, as always, if you have not subscribed to the Mortgage Mix podcast, it's available wherever you download your podcast. So just make sure you like and subscribe to us so that way you know every time a new episode comes out. If you're watching us live on YouTube, I shouldn't say live, but if you're watching us physically on YouTube, by all means, just follow the National MI page, and that way you immediately are aware of any of our new episodes. So on behalf of Sheree McCarthy, thank you again, Ashley, for joining us here today. And for our audience, we look forward to seeing you again next time. We'll see you all real soon. Take care.
See you in Las Vegas.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much.
Bye-bye.